And we're back for another episode of the Shuttlecock podcast. My name is Aaron Rhodes. The podcast is sponsored by the Vinyl Underground at 7th Heaven, offering new and used vinyl at 76th and Troost in KC Mo. This week on the show, we have True Newman. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Awesome.
Always good to see you, Aaron.
Of course, you too.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just kind of start at the beginning. Like, what part of the metro did you grow up in?
I grew up almost down the street from around here. I grew up at 41st in Harrison, so essentially 41st in Troost. Mm-hmm. That's where I grew up my entire life, and yeah, I don't know. I guess that.
Mm. And so, what schools were you going to?
I was homeschooled.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because around the same time that I would have gone to high school. Kansas City lost its accreditation, and so we had to figure it out, basically. Mm. Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe it was just a friend's place, a friend of yours' place. But I kind of remember when I was hanging out with Andrew Johannesson, mm-hmm. He drove me over to somewhere that you were at, somewhere in Shawnee, I feel like. Is that just somewhere you were hanging out? Or?
No, I never hung out in Shawnee. It was a little bit too far from Midtown. The only times I did really hang out at Shawnee were a couple of places. Honestly, I guess I'd say I grew up mostly in the suburbs, or at least hanging out, because that's where all my friends were. Mm. And in Midtown, I didn't really discover any friends until Andrew showed me KCDIY, and then that's when I made friends that are actually in the city.
Yeah, so how were you going about making friends when you were before you got involved with music here? Since you were homeschooled then?
For me, honestly, it was youth group. I grew up dangerously Christian, and obviously a lot's changed. But grew up dangerously Christian, and I met almost all of my friends and a lot of the folks I've been in bands with. We met at youth group when we were 13 or 14 or something like that, somewhere around there. And I don't know, it's great. Most of us are still friends, and we kind of just discovered that we had to grow out of it or grow into it, and I think it's beautiful.
What constitutes for you being dangerously Christian? What gives it that distinction?
Oh my God, I was bad. You can talk to anyone who knew me at the time. It was really interesting. I mean, I was extremely queer and knew that I'm trans and knew that I was not a man, and the way I responded with that was I was pretty aggro and talked way too much about it, and a lot of people can attest to that who knew me, and I'm glad that I'm starting to figure out a way to navigate that and not necessarily be a bigoted piece of shit, really. And yeah, but that was me. I mean, I'm almost 23, but this was me, at 14, 15, somewhere around there. And then I grew out of it really quickly, which is nice.
What were some of the aggro things that you were doing at that point?
Oh, I mean, I was pretending I wasn't. I guess a good way to say it, I would say pansexual, but at the time it was saying that I was bi, and I condemned people for being gay and a lot of other nasty shit, and it was fucked up, and the whole time it was just me just internalizing my own feelings and trying to discover myself, and also just growing up being brainwashed was a really interesting thing. Brainwashed in the hood, not necessarily have a good time, at home.
Yeah, so it was your parents that were kind of influencing you to end up that way?
They did, and then both of them got a lot cooler really fast, which is really cool because I don't know if I was the catalyst for that. However, essentially when I decided to start branching out and doing other things and got into punk rock and the DIY scene and metalcore shows and slamming, I don't know, it was it was cool, but I definitely think that they definitely played a huge role in that. And luckily, they're a lot cooler now and a little bit more accepting.
Yeah, what do you, like, do you think that it was just, like, a natural thing over time, like, just becoming more accepting, or do you think there are, like, certain things that really spurred that for you guys as a family?
There was a lot with me, and I'm not going to go too in-depth about my family. I'll go in-depth about me. And, yeah, I think a lot of my lifestyle choices kind of spurred that. It didn't really start happening until I moved to Chicago when, like, the second I graduated and decided to not go to college. Thank God. Oh, God. It would have been so fucking bad. It would have been so bad. And I'm glad I didn't do that. And then I just started traveling and, like, hopping trains and hitchhiking. And that's what I've been doing for the past 5 years. And it changed my life.
Yeah, what do you think made you want to start traveling so badly?
There's one specific person that I won't name drop, but I met someone, basically one of my spirit guides, who took me traveling for the first time. Literally just met this person, and they just were like, yeah, everything's free. You can do whatever you want. You can go wherever you want for free. It's beautiful. And I was like, I want to try that. And then I tried it, and I've never gone back. So.
And do you think that, well, I don't know what your specific, like, political ideas are, but do you think that kind of correlated with, like, I know you've at least probably been interested in anarchy at some point, so
totally.
does that kind of tie into those appeals?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in some way, shape, or form, like, anarchy's, like, means a lot. There's so much that goes along with that, and it's an extremely convoluted subject. But, I mean, yeah, of course. Like, I mean, when I left, I was, like, 18, and of course I was, like, anarchy, punk rock, fuck everyone, fuck everything. And then it's, like, traveling just made me, like, it just made me grow up so much faster than I would have if I was, like, in college, or if I was still staying at home, or if I was still paying rent. Like, it worked out great, so...
And what are some of your favorite places you've been since?
Minneapolis is my favorite. Kansas City's my second favorite. New Orleans is my third favorite. And then there's a few other places that are, like, few and far in between, like little towns and stuff that I just like visiting.
And you mentioned that you were living in Chicago for a little bit as well.
Yeah, so I lived in Chicago for approximately, my guess would be like about 10 months, but I almost immediately started traveling after I lived there. But it was home base for about 10 months or so. And then I just went out east and hit Florida and hitchhiked a lot and, like, did that shit, so.
Did you ever worry at that point about, like, because you... With like, you were playing in, like, Edward Newgate, and so, like, to some extent you were kind of involved in Kansas City punks, like, in the scene to an extent. Like, were you worried about, like, kind of falling out of touch with people, or, like, just missing stuff here?
Absolutely not. By that point, it was kind of one of those things where I decided, like, discover that for my own mental health, the best thing to do would be to leave. So I did, and I've done that so many times. Like, I killed Hard Leather that way. I killed Rat Bastard that way. Like, I killed Black Pope that way. Like, I just have to leave town sometimes, and unfortunately, I kill almost every band that I've been in. Because I guess I have oftentimes played, like, a seemingly significant role in each band, but I don't know. It's just been a lot of bands.
Oh, yeah, and I know some of your earlier bands were Christian bands.
Very, 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 very much so.
Did those come in those teenage years that... So, no, and I'm pretty sure, like, you would call them Christcore. Like, you would refer to them
very first band I was in. Yeah, I started when I was 12. And played for about 2 years, recorded an EP. It's really funny. If you want to, like, laugh at me, you can look it up on YouTube, and it's really funny. And it was a good time, but I'm still really close with a lot of the folks in that band. And then after that was Def, which first DIY show I ever played. I think I was 14, 15, somewhere around there. I can't remember, but it was a two-piece Christian brutal slamming death metal band where all our lyrics were scripture, and it was, like, really funny. And yeah.
I think one of your shows was like one of Andrew Johannesson's like Overland Park basement shows, right?
Yeah, it was. No, it totally was.
Like, and no, he always
Yeah,
had
it
those at
totally
like
was.
Halloween, so those were always really crazy mixes.
It was the Halloween show, yeah. It was me and my friend Sky. And we started that after the death of our Christ Core band. And it was pretty funny. And then Newgate was like me, like essentially just losing my shit and like being like, it was a lot of gender shit and me trying to discover my sexuality and me trying to figure out how to actually come out, and it was just so long ago. But Edward Newgate was just really aggro, and we all like simultaneously discovered like ceremony and trash talk and shit like that, and we were just like all so into it, and like so we did that for a bit, and it was fun.
And you were kind of taking all of like the like thrashier, crustier elements of those bands, even though that may not even be what they're most known for, but
Yeah. Totally, yeah. And then my vocal style was completely ceremony style, and then like literally at the time my number one vocal influence was Hal from Black Hole, who's a Springfield like Joplin band. And they changed everything for me. Like I saw them live for the first time and saw like it was like Power Violence and just like nasty, slimy punk hardcore like mixed together, and that's what inspired Edward Newgate. Honestly, it was probably Black Hole, Ceremony, and Trash Talk. It was just goofy, but like Black Hole fucks. Black Hole's so good.
I know a lot of people here were into that band, and like, did you? I know some people did, but did you like travel down for like their last show or a reunion show or something?
I didn't get to, but Edward Newgate played with them several times. It was cool. Also, like Bath Consolidated played a show with, I think it was just Edward Newgate, Black Hole, and like Bath Consolidated, which is like the shit that Noelle just released. Her shit's so good. It's amazing. And it was really cool because it was like one of the first like shows that I had gone to that took hardcore punk and then took like a different type of music and then mixed it together. And it was an awesome show. And yeah.
And I know, like I was looking at the Edward Newgate songs again recently, and I didn't even, like, I'm so out of touch with, like, kind of, like, nerd culture, and, like, I don't even maybe want to call it that, but, like, a bunch of the songs are, like, anime references, Games of Thrones, like, characters and stuff.
No Games of Thrones characters, it's all anime and manga references.
Oh, yeah, but what were some of the, well, like, what was your reason for doing that? Did it, like, tie into each song's, like, lyrics and stuff?
For me, it's basically that's how I felt emotion growing up. The first time I went through puberty, I'm going through puberty again because I'm on hormones now. But, like, first time I went through puberty, like, visual media is one of the only things that I could actually feel anything with. But, I mean, the name of the band is Edward Newgate. If you Google that, that's a character from One Piece, the anime. And then there's the Band of Hawk, which is based off of the anime Berserk, which is the best manga actually ever, in my opinion. And there's so much more. Van Hohenheim was Full Metal Alchemist. Vash the Stampede was Trigun. Like, it's every song, and was something that was relevant. And basically I took the title and then did everything in my power to like get my angst out. And I was super angsty. I was an angsty bitch back in the day. I was, I'm sorry for everyone who had to deal with me with that shit, but like, I was really angsty, and that's how I did it, because that was the only way I could like force myself to cry or like force myself to feel something, was just like watch anime or read manga like forever. Like,
so were those characters like the ones you kind of like connected with the most, would you say, or?
No, not necessarily connection. It was just like a feeling based off of that, based off of the character and the way that I perceived them and perceived like their actions in the show, and so, yeah. And
so, what would you say some of your, like, because I think that, like, I'm guessing that was like your first band where you really got to like play a lot of shows and like people kind of knew you around in the scene. So like, What were some of your like favorite moments of doing that band?
My favorite moments were playing Springfield. Kansas City thought we were a joke. We were too young. And
that's when you end up playing basement shows with Calvary and my old band, and that was,
I remember
that was a weird
recording
deal.
your old band. Sorry,
that was fun.
sorry I did such a piss poor job at recording
No,
y'all.
it sounded pretty solid to me.
Yeah, no, y'all were
it
y'all were
did the job.
great, and
Thanks.
it was awesome, and I'm glad y'all let me do that. But
I'm glad someone wanted to do it at that point.
I mean, what was happening, I think, at the time was basically the torch was getting passed. So it was like, dark gauges, no class, no master. Like, they were all just, like, doing their own shit. And then they passed the torch on to, like, Dirty Work and, like, Beta Boys and all those kids who ended up doing, like, a ton of cool shit. And then the torch was, like, in the middle.
Yeah.
When, like, we started our shit.
Yeah, I think we're kind of like the third generation of
totally.
the scene since we've been in it. So
Totally. And then, like, Rat Bastard happened, and then everyone thought we were hot shit, and that's, like, I don't know. That's cool.
So that was a good band.
Rat Bastard?
Yeah.
We were, we might as well have been called Sloppy Drunk Mess. It was a good time, though. That was the funnest band I've ever been in, by far. It was amazing. And
yeah, because that band is kind of what Black Pope turned into at one point, right? Because, like...
Black Pope was before Rat Bastard.
No, yeah, Black Pope turned into Rat Bastard.
Yep. That's exactly what happened, actually.
Yeah, because you were living in Chicago, and that's where you started Black Pope.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you moved back here, and... Yeah, it was that... Were you bummed out about having to quit doing Black Pope, or did you consider, like...
No, there was a lot of interpersonal shit. But I mean, it's like I wrote and recorded almost everything in both of those bands. Jonah did one song, and then I did bass, drums, guitar, and vocals. Well, for Black Pope. So I did everything, and then I did everything else, and then Jonah did vocals on Rat Bastard, and then Jonah wrote Robot Man and Chirpin' Bird, and everyone helped out with a lot of shit. And it was cool, but, like, I mostly, like, was just, like, incessant hours of trying to produce it and, like, did a really piss poor job at it. I did not produce that shit good at all. Black Pope a little bit better. Rat Bastard, they kind of just made me make it sound like shit, which is, like, really goofy because we're trying to be punk rock, and I was pissed. I got outvoted. They were like, no, you have to make it sound shitty. And I was like, God damn it, fuck y'all.
Were you excited about getting to do that Black Pope set at the Wayne's World Fest?
Absolutely.
That big for you? Like, were you just like really like you like those songs a lot in that band?
I mean, those songs are my heart and soul. That was like post Edward Newgate, and all the lyrics. It's like I have them posted, and it's just me like essentially discovering I'm more of a mystic and like fuck conventional Christianity, and I'm still a spiritual person, but like. Fuck that shit, fuck what it did to me, like, I'm fucking queer as hell, I'm fucking trans, I'm a girl, I'm not a boy, like, all this shit, and it was just, like, my anxiety just, like, building up, and then I was, like, 18, and, it was amazing, actually, being able to front it, because it's, like, we played 2 shows, like, maybe like, 3.
And I don't think any of them were in Kansas City, so, like...
No, there was one in Chicago, and then there was one, we played Rex Fest, and we attempted to play in a van. We crashed this fest, plugged in a van, and tried to play a show, and it just completely failed. And then after that, the next show was Kansas City, and it was that first show, and I was like, I want to front this, and then I can't believe it, fucking Dakota, Hopyard, and fucking Pops, like, all literally learned everything in about 4 hours.
That's tight.
And it felt really good. Like, I've never been able to actually just only do vocals. I've always been playing guitar or fucking drums or playing bass. That was the first time I actually got to experience what that feels like, and it was amazing.
Should people expect to see more of that, or?
I don't fucking know. Yeah. I mean, it's like we played like 2 shows after that, and then I like specifically I was like, I'm gonna make us all executioner heads and like all this shit, and that was a really fun show too. And then I don't know, like I love that band, and I recycle every riff I've ever written in every band. Like, what I'm about to do next, like, I'm gonna steal all that shit because I wrote it, so I'm gonna fucking do it, and then ask everyone if it's okay, and then if they're okay with it, then I would like to use it, because they're riffs I spent a long time working on, and even though they're simple as hell, but...
And, no, but you mentioned playing, like, trying to set up and play in a van at that fest?
At Rex Fest.
How did that really go down?
Literally what happened
and
was...
what city is that fest in? I don't
Oh,
recall.
God. It was...
It's like somewhere like...
It's around here, but it was, like, really far away up north on someone's land,
Yeah.
and it happened for a bit, and it was a good fest. I always had an amazing time there. But, yeah, our show it was just bad. Literally what happened was, I think 2 songs in, like, our guitarist, like, was wasted and then, like, tripped over some shit and then unplugged everything, and then we just couldn't recover because we were trying to play in a van, and I was trying to play drums in a van, but I forgot that I'm, like, really tall, and it was bad. It was a bad time.
Like, so, like, you just, like, hadn't made it onto the lineup at the fest, and that was your attempt at playing the fest?
High key.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty
No,
much.
that's a great story. And, no, and, I don't know, so you were kind of involved with a lot of, like, maybe Johnson County kids to an extent, because I know you're friends with Andrew.
Yeah.
But maybe it was Ethan that, like, lived out in Shawnee or something. And
Ethan...
I had to pick him up.
lived out in Edwardsville, I think.
Oh, that might have been it. That must have been.
So it was
what I
like
remember.
way the fuck.
No,
out in
I think I've
Kansas,
definitely
yeah.
had to like drive to his house a couple times, and I'm like, what is this place?
Yeah, I think it was way out there, but
no, but I think like everyone who didn't grow up in like this very central like KC DIY hardcore punk scene, like that's the scene has always had like basements to have shows in or like somewhat proper DIY venues.
Yeah.
But I think if you come from the suburbs or any like weird offshoot scene, like you're kind of forced into like these weird situations of like you really want to play shows, but no one really wants to give them to you.
Yeah.
Because I remember one of Andrew's band that he had with Ethan. Los Pepe's Death Squad.
Los Pepe's Death Squad.
No, I remember they played in
God.
the bathroom.
The bathroom of Yahweh
Underground one time.
Yeah.
And
I remember
I'm like,
that.
no one else would do that besides like a bunch of weirdos from the suburbs or
Exactly.
like Christian kids or whatever. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I always think it's cool hearing those types of stories.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. I mean, growing up, like, I'm not even kidding. It's like, yeah, shit sucked in regards to like, literally. I think mostly the only thing that sucked was just like me trying to discover who I am in the way of being trans and denying that and that shit. But like, no, we all fucked around. We all got fucking wasted together. It was a great time. We all got high. But we were still Christian, you know what I mean? And it was a good time. It's like we had a lot of fun and we were all like, max maybe 15, like, but still just raising hell around the city, like 15, 16, raising hell around the city and learning how to discover ourselves. And I think it was a really beautiful thing. And as a result, I'm very, very, very close friends with so many people now because we all did that together. Like, we all did that together, and it's fucking beautiful. Like, Jude and Jonah, like, Jonah, the vocalist of Rat Bastard, like, I've known Jonah. We went to Christian private high school for 1 year together when we were 5 years old. And then met up at a punk show, and then we were like, what the fuck? And then we started Rat Bastard, and it was fucking awesome. And, like, there's a lot of history with everyone who's, like, been brainwashed by a lot of this bullshit. And it's really nice to see that people can escape it. And most of my friends have. And it's really wonderful, and I love it.
Do you remember like what some of like your first like real Kansas City hardcore shows were like after kind of slowly like kind of easing out of like the Christian scene?
Yeah, it was this Bird Halloween show and saw Bloodbirds. I think the show was Bloodbirds, Dark Ages, No Class, No Master, and it was a Halloween show because I remember Bloodbirds, the vocalist referred as was Count Masturbania and was like dressed as, and then I remember just being like, I think I was like 14, and then I was like, this is amazing. And then, like, fell in love with, like, Casey DIY because Casey DIY is the best DIY, in my opinion. Like, for DIY, Casey fucks. Like, Casey is, in my opinion, the best. Like, we do it right. And really like Minneapolis DIY. I like everyone's DIY scene, but, like, Kansas City, like... And it might be just because I'm, like, fucking grew up here, but, like...
What do you think we get so right in the bands we have and everything?
What did you say?
What do you think makes this Kansas City scene so special to you?
It's slimy. People don't give a shit. People are growing up. It's like one of those things, there's so many people who, like... So many people to where it's like, I didn't want to dismiss anyone for, like, what they said or did, but, like... Because I'm like... You're a human. I'm a hippie, like, hikey. It's, like, really funny. Like, I'll just call myself a fucking hippie. I just, like, want to see the positivity in people, and I, like, want to make sure everyone feels okay. And, like, there's so many people I grew up with that, like, used to, like, make nasty-ass fucking jokes or, like, make fun of me or, like, shit like that. And, shit's changing. And it's, like, I remember, like, 3 or 4 homies, like 3 or 4 like dudes who were my friends that I grew up with. Someone misgendered me, and they were like, if you ever do that again, we're gonna beat your fucking ass. And I was like, oh God, thank you. Like, it was a good feeling. And people are changing, and people are growing up, and our generation is the same generation, so it's like, let's take over and let's do it. Like,
no, I definitely think, like,
yeah,
Kansas City has rid itself a lot of macho or, like, kind of weird attitudes that it had, like, that were, like, super present, like, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not saying it's perfect now. Like, you know, it never really will be, but, like...
I remember one of the first horrible things I had was here when this was the Asshole Castle, right? All right, so I remember it was like 6 years ago. So obviously a different house, like obviously way different house, different people. Yeah. But I remember some white-ass motherfucker with white dreads fucking told me to use the back door because I was a hippie. And it destroyed me, and I just left. And then that's when I started this fucking vest. Like...
No, that's a long running vest, isn't it?
Yeah, no, you remember it. But, like, I mean, it's stupid. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about the vest. But it's like...
Tell me all about the vest.
No. I'm not going to tell you shit about this vest. Okay. No, it just, like, hurt. Like, yeah. I just wanted to be cool and, like, be a part of Casey DIY and, like, you know, like, maybe start a band and, like... Because I was just, like, angry at the world, and I was, like, angry at God, and I was like, fuck you, God, go to fucking hell, like, Jesus, you suck, like, and it would, like, I thought that I would have been accepted here, and I wasn't, and it was, like, high-key, I was, like, the only POC, like, the only, like, visible POC, I guess, and racist shit happened, like, a lot of shit happened that I don't talk about, and... Now Casey fucks, and everyone who fucked up literally has been accountable, and it feels great. And I love literally everyone. I love literally everyone who's, like, from here, who's, like, cool with me now. It fucking feels good.
And, okay, so you just called yourself a hippie, and earlier you said that you're mystic.
Yeah.
What defines those two things for you, like, yeah?
For me, I guess I'm mystic, Gnostic. I mean, I don't know if you want to get into spirituality. It's probably not a good idea.
I'm interested.
You're interested?
Yeah.
All right. You. I consider myself a Christian mystic. Out of all the official gurus who may or may not have fucked up, I think Jesus fucked up the less. and then like said a lot of good shit, like whatever. And like it's also like one of those things where I realized that is literally me being brainwashed. I realized that, but I still read it and it feels okay, and I'm okay with that. And like obviously it's like I'm gonna burn in hell apparently, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with burning in hell. Who fucking gives a shit? That's bullshit anyways. But no, I just like to read the mystics, and all the mystics in pretty much any religion is really on point.
So you just kind of you believe in like the just kind of the main viewpoints of Christianity and oh no, okay, I might be confused, but like
hell no, I don't believe that.
You view Jesus as like one of the best ideological like religious leaders.
I mean, out of the writings, because I grew up like being forced to read it, and so I know it all, and I'm like, fuck the Bible. Most of what that fucker said was pretty on point, and I'm into that, and whatever. That's like not that big of a part of my life right now, honestly, and yeah. No worries. I'm glad you asked, but it's sorry. No worries. Like, I just want to, honestly, what I'm focusing on now is just, I want to be a good person, and I want to continue doing that, and that's one of my teachers, I guess, apparently, because I was brainwashed my entire life, and whatever. So I talk about it when I can, which is cool.
And, so yeah, I don't know, like, and I think it also kind of stems from you not being really a part of like the central KCDOY scene for a while, like starting bands outside of it. But like you did a lot of recording yourself, like, you know. So what, like it was all of that really just like self-taught, like experimentation, like were you like recording like your first couple bands, like the Christian bands, and I know you did Edward Newgate stuff and Black Pope stuff.
No, I only started with yeah, I didn't do This My Father. Johnny McBee did This My Father. Johnny McBee from the Browning recorded us. But this was fucking damn well near 10 years ago, so it's like somewhere around there, I can't remember. But no, yeah, it was all self-taught. It was pretty easy.
It all just kind of came out of necessity. You weren't like just like super interested in like production and
hell no
technical stuff.
No, I'm a horrible producer, honestly. It's like I'm a good producer when the music that I'm producing is something that I significantly care about, and that I want to attempt to sound good. Rap Bastard, it kind of sucks because it's like I got outvoted. They made me make it sound shitty. I had it so good. I had like it was like 4 mics. It was like 4 mics for the drums and then they made whatever. Fuck you, Gabe. Fuck you, Jonah.
Did you like keep all those recordings and like you just hold on to those and listen to those yourself, or?
Nope, I lost my shit.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know. I had a house.
Won't get the remastered version anytime soon.
Yeah, no, I had it, but then my house burned down last winter, and I lost my laptop and everything. But it was fine. Like, I mean, it was good. It sounded good, and then they were just like, "Nah, we need to make it sound like that. There's a fucking mic in the middle of the room." And then I was just like, "I hate y'all. Y'all don't know how to do like, yeah." So. I don't know. Producing Black Pope shit was, I did literally everything. Literally everything. No one played anything else. And, so I did drums, bass, guitar, and vocals, which I said earlier. But, I don't know. Like, I'm not a good producer.
But
I remember recording your band, but, like...
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
But so you are a multi-instrumentalist, you know? So,
yeah.
Like, which instrument did you really start with? And like,
I started with
how long
guitar.
have you been playing?
I started with guitar, and I started about 13 years ago. And I'm not a very good guitarist, but my instrument of choice is definitely drums.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad Hard Leather existed. And then I recorded the drums for Edward Newgate and Black Pope and Rat Bastard too. And that's my instrument of choice. Like, I love it. It feels so good. You can change, like, literally the feeling of the entire song if you're the drummer. Whereas it doesn't matter if someone starts shredding. It's, like, literally the feeling to where it's, like, you want to just, like, you want to slam. You want to fucking vogue. You want to do whatever the fuck you want. Like, literally, like, the drums rule it. And I love it. I love playing drums. It's amazing.
How long ago did you pick drums up?
Around Def Time, so you probably know better than me. When was that? That was probably...
like 14 or 15 then? Or, because you were saying your first band was like when you were like 12.
Yeah.
So
I was probably 15, I'd say. And that was the first time I picked up drums. And then, I mean, it's the classic, incessant, just like... That's the only instrument that I, like, really wanted to practice, and I really enjoyed it.
And everyone's always like, the band is only as good as their drummer. So, and like that's always very apparent. So I guess it's always good to be a good drummer. And then the scene just like completely latches onto you then, because you're like, oh, a new drummer, cool.
Oh,
like, we don't have many of those.
The struggle is so real for drummers, but no, I'm not. It's my favorite instrument, but I'm not, like, that good of a drummer. And, like, Hard Leather was fun because that was the main one where it's, like, we kept on fucking playing shows over and over and over and over again. And it was cool being in a band with fucking Jonah and Bennett and Michaela, like, all just, like, legends, you know what I mean? Like, it's great. Like, everyone's, like, really good at their shit, and that was really fun. And rest in peace. But yeah.
And so I don't know how much of this you want to divulge on the podcast, but
Okay.
you have been telling me about a new project you're working on. So how much do you want to say about that?
Shh, it's a secret. Okay, so I haven't actually written anything via guitar since Rat Bastard. So it's been like, what, a year and a half, 2 years? Well, no, actually, writing, I haven't done anything in over 2 years, probably, for like writing guitar stuff. But I've been working on this, and I'm not gonna give the name, but it's gonna be, I'm assuming, the best 4-song EP of our lifetime. It's gonna be slimy as fuck. Like, you're just gonna creepy crawl, like fucking Casey Shuffle. Like, you're gonna wanna fuck with that. And I've been writing a lot of shit and writing. Yeah, I've been writing, and then I wanna release it under a pseudonym, and I don't want anyone to know that it's me, because it's only me. I'm gonna write and record all of it again, and then if we ever play a show, I'm gonna handpick everyone, which there are a few people set up, which I will not actually narc on, but we'll see. But yeah, no, I'm gonna send it to y'all. And Shuttlecock, you said, are you still down?
Yeah, I'm down. I'm sure.
Cool.
I'm sure
Yeah,
I'm down
I would love for y'all. Like, I'd love for y'all to release it. And then don't let anyone know it's me. And then it's gonna be sick. I'm telling you, it's gonna be fucking great. Everyone will probably know it's me, but it's fine.
Yeah. So, just is there anything happening in Kansas City right now that you're just real excited about and wanna get to?
Nope.
No bands you're super. It'll be your next project. That'll be
Uranium Club.
Yeah.
Uranium Club rolled through. That was cool.
Yeah,
but
that was a great gig.
No, other than that, not really. I mean, it's like high key. It's like Nature Boys are one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah, and the younger kids in the scene never really seem to bother that much with them, but they're a really cool band.
They're seriously, like, I'd probably say for Kansas City, probably my favorite local band. Nature Boys. Babylon is one of the best songs of all time. So good.
And I know they've like toured Europe, I'm pretty sure, and like barely any bands here get to do that type of stuff. So.
Been around for a long time, and they've always been killing it. And they were the first band I lost my shit to, like literally to where it's like the first time I attempted to like fucking slam and like try and be cool. I was just like, this music is amazing. And I mean, yeah, Nature Boys has always been like one of my favorite KC bands of all time. And yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they play soon. I just saw everyone who was in the band and talked to them, and they were like, I don't really know. Like, it might be a month. And I was like, damn it, I really wanted to see them. They've always been good. Dr. Claw, represent. Yo, Dr. Claw by the Nature Boys. Look it up. It's fucking amazing. It's one of the best songs ever. It's so good.
And do you have any plans to be traveling again anytime soon, or do you think you're sticking around?
No, I'm not going to stick around. I can't stick around. I'm going to lose my shit if I stick around. So
you think you'll kind of be working on the music as you're like...
I'm gonna put this shit out before I leave, and I'm gonna probably leave for to go to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. Is the plan, and then after that, probably, I don't know, just hit the road or come back, and like.
And maybe that's when we'll get the first show out of the new project. You know,
Probably
drop
not.
the EP.
The first show
you
is
go.
probably not going to be for really. Oh yeah, drop the EP definitely.
Yeah.
First show, I have no idea. Because I have to specifically pick certain people, and I will not. I will not do it with like anyone who's cis. So it has to be like weirdos or trannies is where I'm at, and that's the only way I'll ever play a live show. But I'm gonna write, record, and release it, and then I'm telling y'all, it'll probably be pretty sick.
Well, I'll be looking out for it. Yeah, I think that'll about wrap it up.
Cool.
People can follow Shuttlecock at Shuttlecock Mag on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can visit the shuttlecockmusic.com, and then there's the web store on there if you want to get a t-shirt or a button, and we'll have the new photo zines on there soon. Make sure you listen to the A.D.D podcast with Jason Barr, and look out for another Shuttlecock house party coming soon. Should be announcing another one in the next week or two. And yeah, thank you to everyone that came out to the last one with Crystal and Nightcrawlers. Great show, lots of fun. And True, is there anything you want to plug? Any bands people should check out?
Yeah, Bath Consolidated. And then also some. Okay, my favorite DJ is DJ Gag Reflex. He's from Seattle. And then my girl Joelle is Misgendered. Is the name of her project, and you should check that shit out. Yeah, KC for life.
Awesome. Thanks for being on today.
Always. Love you lots.